Alright, my fellow archivists, a month of deep dives and cosmic unraveling culminates now, and for good reason. You've joined us exploring the very fabric of Marvel Universe as we meticulously ordered, categorized, and presented the key issues from our November series. For the first time, experience this completed saga seamlessly stitched into one definitive collection, perfect and convenient for a comprehensive binge-watching experience. This isn't just a rerun, it's a full narrative, perfectly preserved as a cornerstone for your digital archives, ready for your viewing pleasure. And thank you for joining us in this incredible deep dive. This compilation is just a taste of what's to come, as our grand vision involves assembling all the narratives into their own edited omnibuses at the end of each calendar year. But for now, the journey continues. Get ready.
Runaways, Volume 1, Issue 5.
Alright, my comic book deep divers, let's break down the final chapter of the Pride and Joy origin story. Now, if you're just jumping in, don't sweat it. We're going to rewind a bit and get you all caught up to speed. So, picture this. We're in sunny Malibu. We're in the Wilders throw an annual bash. It's not just any get-together. It's a summit for the 5 families. The Wilders, the Yorks, the Deans, the Steins,
The Hazes, and the Minoru.
and their respective teenage offsprings. Alex, Gertrude, Carolina, Chase, Molly, and Nico. The grown-ups ditch the kids to the game room, heading off to the library for some adult time. Naturally, teenage boredom kicks in, and Alex, ever the investigator, suggests a little parental peeping. Cut to a secret two-way mirror situation. The kids get a front row seat to a seriously messed up scene. Their parents, collectively known as the Pride, are straight up involved in a murder, and on top of that, Mr. Wilder's the one who delivers the final blow to the poor woman. Heavy stuff, right? Well, back in the library, the Pride are getting a little twitchy about what they heard behind the mirror. Jeffrey Wilder sends the Deans to check out the catacombs and his wife to check on the kids. Panic starts to set in. Have their little darlings just stumbled onto the dark secret? Leslie Dean throws a cryptic line about protecting them until they're 18, and according to Tina Minoru, something about the abstract. Intrigue intensifies. Meanwhile, Carolina Wilder finds the kids looking suspiciously innocent playing Twister. Post-game, the truth bomb drops. They talk about what they saw, and Alex initially is all for direct confrontation, but their powwow is cut short as Alex and Nico get a weird request to lug a trunk to the York's car, immediately raising red flags. Could this be where they stashed the body? Alex suggests a clandestine team meeting later that night. Under the cover of darkness, the non-Molly crew gathers at the Griffith Observatory. Alex logically suggests calling the cops. Gertrude's on board, but Chase and Carolina, well, they're in denial. They want to brush it off. But Nico, however, sides with Alex. Gotta call the authorities. Alex makes the call, but the officer on the other end is less than convinced. So, plan B, they need solid evidence. The body, which they suspect is at the York's residence. Sneaking into the York's place, the kids play detective and find a keypad hidden behind a painting. Nico, showing off some serious brain power, figures out the password involves a 3, 4, and a 7. Alex throws in Pride as a hunch. Boom. Secret room unlocked. Inside? Old Lace, a massive velociraptor-esque lizard. Chase, in a moment of panic, attacks, but Old Lace chills instantly at Gertrude's command. A hologram reveals that the Yorks left Old Lace to protect Gertrude. Turns out she's a genetically engineered dinosaur from the 31st century. Time travel shenanigans already? You know it. Next stop, Carolina Dean's seemingly empty house. They stumble upon Carolina's medical bracelet, realizing it's more than just a fashion accessory. And when she takes it off, bam! Carolina lights up like a Christmas tree, literally a being of pure light. Alien alert! The issue closes with Lieutenant Flores calling Jeffrey Wilder about Alex's murder report. Uh-oh. Jeffrey, now clued in, realizes Alex is MIA. Cut to the Dean's residence where Caroline is experimenting with her newfound glow stick abilities. The group decides it's time to let Molly in the loop about her parents' extracurricular activities. But Chase, ever the pragmatist, convinces her to check his place first, and as they leave, Gertrude gets a weird feeling. Old Lace is tailing them. At the Stein residence, they find a full-blown mad scientist workshop, weapons, experiments, the whole shebang. Before they can say Frankenstein, they're confronted by the Steins and the Minoruses. Chase, in a moment of hold my beer, puts on some robotic gloves, the Fistigons, and X-ray goggles, but his dad quickly shuts him down. Alec thinks fast, removes Carolina's bracelet, unleashing her full radiant power. Chaos ensues. Nico suddenly absorbs her mother's staff of one. Old Lace provides a dino-sized distraction for the Steins, while Nico uses her staff to zap her father, freeing Carolina, who then blasts him with energy. Family bonding at its finest. With the Steins and the Menorases temporarily neutralized, the gang heads to the Hayes' residence to get Molly. Just then, Gertrude's phone rings. Cliffhanger alert, the Hayes and the Yorks are on the other end threatening Molly's life unless the teens surrender. Talk about a pressure cooker. The Steins and the Yorks are now babysitting a seemingly out-of-it Molly, waiting for the other runaways to show. Molly starts to stir and says she isn't feeling well. Her mother is in peak denial and blames it on hormones and tries to lull her back into her trance. Cut to the teens road tripping and strategizing. And with a burst of accidental arson, they decide a full assault on the Hayes' residence is the only way they can save Molly. At the Hayes place, Leslie Dean makes an appearance. Alex, surprisingly tactical, leads the rescue mission via walkie-talkies. He and Nico share a just-in-case kiss. Aww, young love in the face of parental supervillainy. Well, as they approach the house, Old Lace goes Jurassic Park on Dr. Hayes. Alex, Nico, and Gertrude are intercepted by the Yorks. Nico, in a moment of desperation, attacks and gets cut. Her blood triggers the staff of the One to emerge, and she swiftly takes down the Yorks before heading off to Molly's rooms. Outside, Carolina uses her bracelet on her mother and knocks her out cold. While inside, Nico confronts Miss Hayes, but Molly wakes up and her mom has a sudden realization. Molly's a mutant. Nico knocks out Miss Hayes, but Molly, now awake, confused, and glowy-eyed, meltdown angry at Nico when Gertrude and Old Lace join the awkward reunion. Molly freaks out over Old Lace, whereas Gertrude's mind blown over mutant Molly. Alex arrives as Gertrude tries to catch Molly up to the crazy last few hours. Suddenly, Miss Dean blows in the wall of Molly's room and attacks, subduing Gertrude. But Molly, in a fit of rage, yeets Miss Dean into the pool. The kids decide to bounce, but before Nico and Alex can fish out a soggy Miss Dean, she attacks Nico again, but Alex brains her with the staff. As the runaways head off to hide, Alex tries to decode the stolen book with Miss Dean's ring. Only a partial translation is available. Jeffrey Wilder calls, dropping a news bomb. They're wanted for Destiny Gonzalez's murder and Molly's kidnapping. Alex hangs up, and Chase suggests going dark. Back at the Hayes place, the Pride is an unsigned note pledging loyalty. Suspense? The kids reach Chase's hideout, Bronson Canyon, or aka The Hostel. They discuss new names, and everyone picks ones except Alex, who's set on redeeming his own. And that, my friends, is the explosive conclusion to the Pride and Joy origin story. Betrayals, dinosaurs, glowing teens, and mutant mayhem. A classic coming-of-age tale, wouldn't you say? Ultimate Spider-Man 45. So picture this, a complete waste of an issue with Aunt May in therapy. Yep, you heard it right, the homegirl is stressed. All that crazy stuff that's been happening lately has taken its toll. She's talking through the other night when she totally lost it on Peter for disappearing all day. I mean, classic Peter, right? Always sneaking off to some mysterious adventure. And get this, he actually tricked her into thinking he was just reading. Smooth, Parker. Real smooth. But that's not even half of it. Aunt May drops a bombshell on her therapist. She's kind of obsessed with Spider-Man. I mean, can you blame her? Everywhere she turns, Spidey's involved. Ben's death, Captain Stacy's death, the whole mess with Midtown High. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. She even had to face with the guy during the daily web-slinging routine, and now she's convinced he's going to hurt Peter. Talk about worst-case scenarios. And here's where it gets even weirder. Aunt May is keeping Gwen Stacy around to cope with Captain Stacy's death. The therapist, trying to keep things chill, tells Aunt May taking Gwen in is a good thing and that she should spend more time with Peter. Maybe that'll help her chill out. Later that day, Aunt May gets home and offers to take Peter to the movies. And guess what? Peter's stoked. He's just as eager to spend time with Aunt May as she is. I mean, family bonding time. So there you have it. Aunt May stressed, obsessed, and maybe a bit lonely. Will she ever figure out Peter's secret? Will she find some peace of mind? And what's up with Gwen Stacy? Well, stay tuned. I hope we don't have any more of these issues because why? But anyway, stay tuned, true believers, because the story is just getting started.
Fantastic Four, Volume 3, Issue 74.
So, things are rough back at the Baxter Building. The upper floors are still messed up and the FF is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Sans Doom, Latveria is a mess and their new army is facing off against a Hungarian invasion. Suddenly, the Fantastic Four shows up and Sue puts up an invisible force field which stops the whole invasion, and Reed warns the commander of the Hungarian army, any future invasion means a virus that's going to cripple your nation. And despite saving them, the Latvian people immediately start throwing rocks at the Fantastic Four. No welcome here. Dealing with the hostility, the team checks out Doom's castle, using a lock of Victor's hair to bypass the security. Inside, they find Doombots moving gear through a portal, which of course the Fantastic Four quickly stop. Benjamin Grimm's not at all happy about playing Guardian for a country that hates them, but Reed expects Hydra, AIM, and others to target Doom's tech. He orders to prep and destroy valuable items while Sue seals the castle. The team's also worried about Reed's strange behavior, realizing that they try to bring him out of his funk. Watching the protesters, Reed has a sudden idea. Well, Latvians lack freedom. He declares that the Fantastic Four will stay and help them achieve it, even raising his shirt on the castle flagpole as a symbol. He then drops the bombshell that they're not going home anytime soon. The Fantastic Four has declared themselves the new and very unwelcome rulers of Latveria. Let's get ready for some chaos. Daredevil, Volume 2, Issue 51. Echo's backstory, pretty, but a complete waste of comic. Elektra, Volume 2, Issue 27. So, back in Issue 24, Elektra takes a gig from this shady exiled senator guy named Ben Oamat. His mission? To take out Bridget Hapanmayan, the dictator of an African country named Dajanda. Fast forward to Issue 25, Elektra's about to make her own shot at Hapanmayan, but bam, she gets yanked back to Dajanda out of nowhere during a shopping trip in London just to squash some uprising. I mean, delegate, come on guys. But still bad timing. Elektra being Elektra, she uses Hapanmayan's own son, Ibram, as her personal chauffeur. Free ride straight into the palace and Hapanmayan's private floor. Smooth move, but when she finally gets to Hapanmayan's bedroom, it's an ambush. Hapanmayan's security advisor, Jarek, tries to take her out, but Elektra's too quick and ends him. Now she's on the outside, scaling the wall like a ninja. She takes out the rooftop guards and yoinks the helicopter to make her escape. Mid-air, Elektra's like, nah, I'm not obligated to fix this mess, especially since Oamat lied about the job to save some cash. But she's also not about to help the Padilla of Janda. So what does she do? She turns back to the palace. Cut to a bunch of panels filled with smoke, fire, and pure chaos. And guess what? Hapanmayan is no more. Mission accomplished. Sort of. Elektra then jets back to London to have a little chat with Oamat. She lays it all out. She knows he was shady. And how did she escape Janda the second time? She made a deal with the underground resistance, the DGA, and all she had to do was eliminate the biggest threat to their coalitional government plan, Hapanmayan. Boom, problem solved. At least for the DGA anyway. Elektra gets the job done, but her way. Exiles, Volume 1, Issue 33. So, the Exiles are trying to bail from the vampire planet, right? But bam, as usual, Vampire Wolverine, aka Vampire Jack, blasts them with some freaky Vreen beam, and suddenly the team is scattered all over the place. This issue drops us right into the frozen north of Canada, with Sasquatch and more facing off against the seriously messed up post-torture Weapon X Wolverine. This isn't your friendly neighborhood Logan. This guy brought his own Dixie cup. Now, Heather and Morph are holding their own, but things go to poop fast. Wolverine slices Morph in half. Brutal. Sasquatch goes all mama bear defending Morph until Logan takes her out as well by knocking out her Achilles tendon. Jeez. In a desperate move, she hurls Wolverine as far as she can to buy them some precious time. Miraculously, Morph manages to pull himself back together. I mean, being a shapeshifter and all, and then they limp away. But Heather's leg is trashed, and they're moving in a snail's pace. So, To stop the bleeding, Heather asks Morph to make sutures out of his own body and then ends up stitching herself together with the roots. Talk about a makeshift first aid kit. Well, knowing they're sitting ducks, Sasquatch knocks out Morph, hides his unconscious body, and waits for Wolverine to show up. And then we get this crazy flashback. Turns out that this isn't the first time Heather from Earth 3470 has tangled with Logan. She became Sasquatch, joined Alpha Flight, rescued Logan from some Project Lazarus nightmare, fell head over heels for him, married him, and then killed him. What? And when Wolverine finally shows up, Heather shockingly turns back into her human form, and they have this super brief, almost tender moment. But before you can say alternate reality romance, bam! Heather gets yanked away to yet another dimension. Man, the Exiles' life is seriously messed up. The Mighty Thor, Volume 2, Issue 68. Fast forward 17 years, and Thor is the king of Earth. Jane Foster and Dia, the daughter of Jane's old friend Scarlet Witch, are trespassing in the Lord Thor's woods. Cue Hogan and the Asgardian patrol, who are ready to rumble. Jane's quick with a cover story on hunting accident sidelining Wanda, and the Asgardians buy it enough to escort them in the first place. And here's the sneaky play. Now, while Dia keeps the Asgardians busy, probably with some inherited magical flair, Jane's secretly delivering Wanda's baby. Bam! New character unlocked. And whoosh! Here comes Quicksilver, snatching the newborn and disappearing in a blur. Jane plays it cool, letting the Asgardians escort her and Wanda to the hospital, all while keeping this huge secret under wraps. Plot twist! The Asgardian doc figures out Wanda just gave birth. Hogan, sharp as a tack, realizes they've been played, and this was a deliberate move to keep the baby off the books. So, cuffs go on, and off to New Asgard we go. There, Jane comes face to face with King Thor himself, along with his wife, the Enchantress, and their adorable new son, Magni. Talk about an awkward family reunion 2.0. Thor offers a deal. Spill the beans on the baby's location, and maybe there's some mercy. But Jane's not budging. Big mistake. Thor, not one for disobedient, hands Jane, Wanda, and Dia over to the Master of Chaos, Loki, for some processing? And you know that can't be good. So, we've got a future ruled by Thor, a secret baby on the run, and our heroes are about to face whatever twisted games Loki has in store. What happens next is anyone's guess, but you know it's going to be wild. Captain America, Volume 4, Issue 17. All right, so Captain America, frozen solid, gets pulled out of the North Atlantic in March of '64. He wakes up on a sub, but surprise, full of Nazis. Fresh off the Bucky falling nightmare, Captain understandably freaks out. Turns out the bad guys won World War II. They've taken over America, which is now America with a hard K. And who's running the show? The Red Skull as the new Fuhrer. Seriously messed up. The Red Skull tries to get Cap on his side, offering him a sweet deal, but also hinting at some rather nasty experiments if he refuses. Cap's response? He jumps out of the skyscraper window to get away. Apparently this isn't the first time he's pulled a stunt like this. So yeah, Cap's in a seriously dark alternate reality where Nazis are in charge. What's he gonna do next? The Incredible Hulk, Volume 2, Issue 60. So, home base agents follow Dr. Samson back to his old lab, only to be interrupted by a homeless person? When Samson goes inside, he finds his friend Kevin being held hostage. The agents demand he reveal his contact with Bruce Banner or Kevin gets it. Kevin tries to trick them, but it backfires and the laptop is destroyed. When the agents try to attack Samson, the homeless person shoots them, and it turns out that the homeless person is Sandra Verduga, who gives him a broken laptop to fix. Samson's annoyed because of his history with Sandra, who disappeared on him in Argentina years earlier. She explains she returned to the U.S. after the rebellion and had their son. Then comes the shocker. The kid in the doctored video framing Banner is also their son. Meanwhile, in New Mexico, Nadia Dronova finds coyotes trying to eat an unconscious Mr. Blue, who is a covert agent and operative of home base Agent S3. By the way, Agent S3 is actually someone of importance, which we'll find out in Incredible Hulk Volume 2, number 81. Stick with us, we'll get there. While Blue's out cold, Nadia tries to use her computer to contact Bruce, but it doesn't work. Blue wakes up and they fight over the gun. Around the same time, Banner leaves a diner in New York City after failing to reach Mr. Blue, unaware he's being followed by home base agents. He's ambushed in the alley, and then we're given to a parallel gunfight that happens both in New York City and New Mexico. Back at Samson's lab, Doc is upset with Sandra for working with home base after they kidnapped their son. They also realize they can't contact Banner anymore because the network access is being blocked. The comic ends with Sandra, Bruce, and Nadia all receiving the same message. They're on to me, and they know where you are. Looks like trouble's brewing. The Invincible Iron Man, Volume 3, Issue 72. Okay, so we start this one in actually part 3 of the story, so I'll back up a little bit. Tony Stark's trying to dig himself out of a financial hole after all the craziness of the Manhunter story arc. What does a billionaire genius do to distract himself? He gets a call from Sage Kaufman, a private eye who needs his help with a seriously weird drawing. This drawing looks like a biological cell made of electronic parts, supposedly created by none other than Howard Hughes. Sage explains it's connected to a missing science writer with a gambling problem named Mo Stanton, who vanished and whose cars contained the drawing. Tony, being a massive Howard Hughes fanboy, is all in and jets off to Las Vegas with Sage almost immediately. While investigating Mo Stanton's disappearance, they end up busting a casino robbery ring that Sage thinks is connected to the same case. But that night, things get seriously sci-fi, and a green goo oozes out of Tony's thermostat, crawls onto his Iron Man armor, and brings it to life and attacks him. And then in issue 2, Tony battles his own possessed armor, and he throws every fail-safe function in the book at it, but the goo just keeps adapting. And finally, he's got no choice but to self-destruct the whole damn suit of armor. Talk about a bad night. After some major tinkering, Tony shows Sage his brand new blade of armor. It's covered in these polymer tiles that pop off when damaged and can quickly be replaced. The perfect defense against this nanoplasm stuff that spreads like a virus, turning machines into flesh. It turns out that's exactly what the Hughesian design is showing. Creepy. Tony meets with the casino boss Mark Vicus, an old buddy of Tony's dad, but Vicus is acting super shady and evasive. So Tony and Sage do some digging and find out that Vicus's first Vegas property used to belong to Howard Hughes, and before that, it was a UFO crash site. Dun dun dun! Iron Man uses magnetic imaging to locate the buried UFO and drills down into it. And of course, the ship's defenses attack, scraping off a few of the new armor tiles Tony has invented, which actually ends up poisoning the UFO. Inside, Tony finds Mo Stanton hooked up to the ship. Stanton reveals that Vicus has been taken over by the alien goo and plans on infecting all of Vegas. Apparently, Vicus thought Stanton was an enemy because of his interest in Hughes. And as Iron Man makes a break for the surface with Stanton, one of the alien bugs infects Tony with the nanoplasm. Double whammy. Episode 3. Iron Man heads straight for Vicus's hotel headquarters and finds him sick in bed from the nanoplasm. Vicus tells Tony the whole story about how Howard Hughes got infected by the same goo when he found the UFO but managed to resist it by becoming a total hermit in his penthouse. But the nanoplasm starts to leave Vicus for Tony, seeing him as a stronger host. Iron Man flies to the roof and finds a replica of Hughes' famous plane loaded with nanoplasm. He takes off with it, but Vicus, still infected, attacks him in the air. Their fight takes them all the way back to the UFO crash site, where Vicus ends up absorbing all of the remaining nanoplasm. But it has a seriously negative effect. He basically dries up and turns to dust. With one punch, Tony smashes Vicus into powder, and then uses his ablative armor to neutralize the rest of the nanoplasm. Finally, Tony convinces Mo Stanton to try to find a cure instead of giving up. Epilogue. A driver picks up a hitchhiker in the desert. Mark Vicus. Looks like the alien goo might have some unexpected side effects. The Spectacular Spider-Man, Volume 2, Issue 4. So, we're jumping into the middle of the Hunger storyline, specifically Issue 4. The dealio is that Venom's dumped Eddie Brock and is now on the prowl for a new ride. We've already seen a bunch of attacks have been pinned to the symbiote, and Spider-Man's teamed up with Detective Neil Garrett, and together they managed to flush Venom into the open on a rooftop for a rumble across Manhattan. This all culminates in a desperate showdown at some unspecified power station where Spidey, in a moment of brilliance, or maybe desperation, grabs a live bus bar and fries himself and the symbiote with 10 trillion volts. Talk about a shocking conclusion. When Spidey comes to, he's chilling in the Baxter building, getting poked and prodded by Reed Richards. Ben and Johnny are just standing around, comic book logic, getting them up, moving and all that good stuff. And Sue, bless her heart, is playing the babysitter, holding a squirming symbiote in an invisible force field. Spider-Man, for the millionth time, explains his spider sense, which conveniently leads to the revelation that Venom wants him badly because every time his spider sense tingles, his adrenaline goes into overdrive. And what does that tell us? Yep, Venom's a freaking adrenaline junkie. Reed, being the smart guy he is, injects Spidey with an adrenaline blocker, so that when the symbiote eventually breaks free and tries to bond with Peter, there's nothing to latch on to. Smart move, Reed. The symbiote then makes a hasty retreat. Spidey tracks Brock down to some creepy abandoned ship to haul him off to jail, but bam! Brock drops a major bombshell. He has cancer. Twist ending! But Venom, what's he going to do now? The old host is dying. And what's Spider-Man going to do with his new information? Things just got complicated.
Superpower, Volume 1, Issue 2.
So picture this. The 1970s, middle of nowhere, a childless farming couple stumbles upon a crashed spaceship and finds a human-looking baby inside. The wife's convinced it's a miracle, it's a gift from God, and wants to raise him on her own. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? But hold up. Uncle Sam isn't about to let a superpowered alien baby just wander around. So the U.S. government swoops in faster than a speeding bullet and takes the kid into custody. This little tyke gets a code name of Hyperion and a regular name of Mark Milton. He grows up in a super-controlled government facility, basically an alien lab rat, where his insane superpowers start to develop. Super strength, invulnerability, the whole shebang. As Mark gets older, his powers go through the roof, but so does his isolation, and everyone around him is freaked out, and you can't really blame them. The government, under President Jimmy Carter, decides that this alien Wunderkind is their new secret weapon, so they keep him even under tighter surveillance than Fort Knox. Then in the 90s, they managed to get some intel out of Mark's spaceship. Turns out it looks like his planet was under attack before he was sent off. This throws a major wrench into things. Is Mark a loyal ally from a doomed world, or a potential threat from just waiting to happen? Meanwhile, Mark's powers keep evolving, and he keeps becoming more and more aware of what he can do. He's dreaming of a normal life outside the government grip, but his foster dad, one of the agents, is all about keeping him under control. The folks running Project Hyperion decide that their next brilliant move is to throw Mark into a controlled school environment filled with kids from the military families. Subtle, right? But wait, there's more. We get a glimpse of other folks with mysterious powers popping up as well. A kid named Stanley suddenly discovers he can run faster than anyone's ever seen, and a guy named Phil starts having flashbacks to some messed up event involving a weird baby, sending him spiraling into Crazy Town. As Mark grapples with his own identity and purpose, he gets more determined than ever to find a place in the world that's terrified of him. This ain't your daddy's Superman story. It's got government conspiracies, existential angst, and a whole lot of what the heck is going on vibes.
Ultimate Spider-Man 46.
All right, let's break down this sandy situation with Spider-Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. because things get gritty real fast. I apologize. That was terrible. So, the dust is settled after the throwdown with Dr. Octopus and Sharon Carter's on the scene. Gotta document everything. But Spider-Man's already swinging away. Job done. Hero out. Sharon and S.H.I.E.L.D. crew head into the lab, and it's a total disaster zone there. 3 scientists just chilling in the middle of the chaos, glued to some outside footage. Sharon's like, why don't you guys evacuate? Their answer was like, they can't abandon their experiment. Cue the dramatic, what experiment? And then right on cue, as S.H.I.E.L.D.'s agent spots something freaky in one of the cells. Naked dude alert! Sharon's all business and gets the cell open, and Sharon's asking the questions. But the dude just stares blankly. Apparently, she doesn't know who Flint Marko is. But that's a question I've got to ask. I'm like, hold on. You are part of the preeminent espionage group in the world, and you've not heard of Flint Marko. Dude, I can count on one hand the number of dude characters with the name of Marko in Marvel Comics. One's a one-off from Secret Avengers called Pilot Marko. One's Kane Marko, we all know who that is, Juggernaut, and Flint Marko. Alas. Then things get wild and Sandman stands up and unleashes a massive sandstorm, and everybody's caught in the sandy chaos, and the dude just turns into sand and poofs. He's gone. Sharon, understandably ticked, whips out her gun and demands answers from the scientists. As we know, this is Flint Marko, and he's gone through some serious genetic upgrades to become the Sandman that we just saw. Cut to the outside, and Sandman's already throwing down with Spider-Man. Sandman's got the upper hand, tossing Spidey around and slamming him in the trucks. And Sharon's not having any of it. She takes a shot right at Sandman's head. Bullet goes in, comes out his mouth, and nails one of her own agents. Talk about friendly fire. Sandman tries the sandstorm trick again, but surprise! Spider-Man, with the help of the fire department, blasts him with a hose. And it looks like Sandman's a big soggy mess now. So Spidey goes off to help Sharon, but uh-oh! Sandman's back again. Whoever could have guessed? He unleashes the tidal wave of sand burying Spidey and cutting off his air. And Sandman's ready to commit the final smash, but the scientists pull out a Hail Mary, some special weapon that turns Marko back into a human. After Sharon helps Spidey out and gives him a thank you, he swings off into the sunset. Sharon ends her report with a serious mic drop moment, telling her team they should just off the power-crazed maniacs instead of turning them into science projects gone wrong. Harsh, but after all that sand, you can kind of see her point. New X-Men, issue 146. All right, let's break down the new X-Men 146, which is the first part of a major Planet X storyline by Grant Morrison. So that satellite? Yeah, it's toast. But just before it goes kaboom, Cyclops manages to blast his shuttle out of there. Problem is that he and Phantom X are now spiraling out of control, crashing somewhere in the vast Pacific. Back at the mansion, Professor X is rallying the troops for a rescue mission. Jean Grey, being the powerhouse she is, jumps into the new Mark III X-plane, which you gotta ask yourself, she's the Phoenix. She could probably fly there faster, but fair enough. Heading for orbit to snag Wolverine. Meanwhile, the Beast, Emma Frost are off to the Pacific to find Cyclops and Phantom X. With most of the heavy hitters gone, things at the Institute are about to get really interesting. Now, while the rescue ops are underway, Zorn makes an offer to Dust that sends her straight to Xavier in a panic. Suddenly, she loses control of her powers and absolutely wrecks Cerebra in the process. Zorn, being the quick one, zips her into a canister, much to Xavier's horror. Out in the Pacific, Beast and Emma close on Cyclops. Emma catches a stray thought from him, a warning about a traitor in the Institute. Before they can even process that bombshell, boom! A wing of the plane explodes, clearly sabotage. And up in orbit, Jean finds Wolverine standing over the remains of Weapon 15 on what she realizes is Asteroid M. Yep. If that wasn't enough, back at the Institute, Zorn finally makes his move. He uses his power to re-cripple Xavier, basically undoing the nano-sentinels that fused his spine. With Xavier's helpless, Zorn drops the ultimate bombshell. He rips off his mask and reveals his true identity. Get ready for it. He's Magneto. That's right, the master of magnetism, back to crush Xavier's dream once and for all. Talk about a gut punch.
New X-Men, issue 147.
All right, buckle up because things are about to get really ugly for New York City. From his swanky new penthouse headquarters overlooking Manhattan, Magneto kicks off the devastation. He's literally tearing New York apart, transforming it into his twisted vision of a new Genosha. With that massive undertaking underway, he then gathers his latest crew, the Brotherhood, handpicked by his lieutenant, Esme. He promises that he's going to turn the world upside down for mutant kind, and he means it. And to show off for the growing mutant crowd below, he absolutely shreds 4 jet fighters that dared to attack his position just as a casual display of power. Before he makes his grand entrance to the masses below, Magneto secretly takes another hit of the mutant performance enhancer drug Kick, supplied by Esme. You see, even the master of magnetism needs a little boost sometimes. With his powers supercharged, he hovers dramatically over his people, using his abilities to utterly demolish iconic landmarks like the Brooklyn Bridge and the Statue of Liberty. Talk about a statement. Later, when the mutant populace, now totally convinced that their time has come, starts rounding up humans for extermination. Yikes. Magneto takes a moment to gloat over his old foe, Professor Xavier. The professor is floating helplessly in a containment tank, a prisoner to Magneto's New World Order. Grinning like a madman, Magneto tells Xavier that sooner or later he's going to have to admit that Magneto was right all along. It's a dark day for humanity and a chilling victory for the Master of Magnetism. It's a brutal, shocking issue that completely changes the game. Magneto's reveal, his sheer power on display, and a horrifying vision of New York turned into a mutant supremacist state. It's intense, and this isn't a villain showing up. This is a declaration of war on the world, orchestrated from within the X-Men's own ranks. It sets the stage for an absolutely wild conclusion for Morrison's run. Daredevil, Volume 2, Issue 52. So, this issue is all about Maya Lopez, aka Echo. Complete waste of a character. They give us some more background. Dad's getting killed. Fisk steps in and basically raises her. Talk about a complicated family situation. And the art, Dave's Mack painting, makes the whole thing gorgeous. Meanwhile, Matt Murdock is reeling from all the stuff he's learning about Maya and her ties to the Kingpin. The same dude that Matt knows killed her dad. The tension is building because Maya's getting closer and closer to the Daredevil, and she thinks he's the one who did it. All thanks to Kingpin's manipulation. It's a powder keg waiting to explode. The Ultimate 6, Issue 1. All right, let's crack into this supervillain team-up brewing in the Ultimates universe because, you know, things are about to get electrifyingly sinister. So Max Dillon, aka Electro, finally wakes up after weeks in a coma. But do you think he takes it easy? No. He busts out of the hospital and runs straight into the brick wall that is the Ultimates. Talk about a rude awakening. Now, picture this, a S.H.I.E.L.D. prison holding a real rogues gallery. We've got Max Dillon, still probably crackling with leftover electricity. We've got Norman Osborn, who's always scheming even behind bars. We've got Otto Octavius, poor guy's lost his tentacles. And Flint Marko, probably just a pile of sand in his cell. Not exactly a friendly game of poker going on in there. But wait, there's more chaos. Sergei Kravinoff, the Kraven Hunter, we all know and, well, maybe we don't love him, but he goes on live TV and drops a bombshell. He illegally messed with his DNA to be just like Spider-Man. Talk about identity crisis. And this, of course, gets the Ultimates' attention, and they swoop in and arrest the wannabe web-slinger, but not without a fight because, you know, supervillains, right? But back at Triskelion Prison, things are getting interesting because Norman Osborn, the master manipulator, reveals that he's got a plan. And not just any plan, a plan that requires a team. A team of 6. Dun-da-da! Who's going to be the lucky member of the Sinister Six? What kind of mayhem are they cooking up? You know it's going to be epic and probably involve a whole lot of destruction. The stage is set for some serious supervillain shenanigans in the Ultimate Universe. The Uncanny X-Men, Volume 1, Issue 431. As we're starting this story in the middle, let me give you a little backstory and get you fully up to speed on what's been happening in the X-Men's wild, mutant-filled world. Our journey to the Uncanny X-Men 431 kicked off back in Uncanny X-Men 429 with absolute pandemonium at Xavier's Institute. Picture this, Nightcrawler, naked and disoriented, inexplicably steals the X-Jet. And as if that wasn't enough, the X-Men then discover Iceman frozen solid, undergoing a terrifying secondary mutation, turning him into solid ice. Professor X then reveals mysterious mutant energy trails converging on Isla des Demonas, hinting that mutants, including Nightcrawler, are being summoned there. Just before the X-Men depart, we see a raw and emotional confrontation between Juggernaut and Professor X, touching on their dark and abusive past, which sets Kane off on his own mission to Vancouver. The madness only escalated in Uncanny X-Men 430, while Juggernaut begins his journey to Vancouver to confront young Sam Pear's
heartbreaking domestic situation. Back at the Institute, Professor X and Nurse Annie enter Polaris' volatile mindscape, and what they uncover is a seismic revelation. Polaris confirms via DNA test from Genosha that Magneto is genetically her father. We witness her traumatic memories of the Genosian slaughter, seeing how she fled overwhelmed, ultimately believing that Magneto was right all along about humanity. Meanwhile, back on Isla Desdemonas, the X-Men are battling a massive, inexplicable dimensional rift. And in a truly shocking, brutal moment, Iceman is struck by an arrow and shatters into thousands of icy fragments, seemingly dying right before his teammates' eyes. And the issue culminates with that dimensional rift exploding, engulfing everyone in the island in pure, raw energy. And that, my friends, brings us crashing into the main event, Uncanny X-Men 431. After that insane explosion, the X-Men recover, but things are still utterly wild. Get this, Iceman's head is miraculously still alive and talking. While Nightcrawler is finally freed from his bizarre and unwilling fusion, their brief respite is shattered by the appearance of the mysterious demon Azazel and his crew. Azazel casually admits he summoned Kurt, and things get super personal when Archangel's healing blood causes Kurt's hand to burn, drawing Azazel's death-like stare. Then the demon named Jillian, who looks uncannily like the Nightcrawler, attacks Archangel, screaming, "Death to all angels!" And at the same time, Sammy Pear in Vancouver embraces the dark side, violently retaliating against his bullies and proclaiming himself the Juggernaut. But the absolute showstopper comes back on Isla Desdemonas when Jubilee teams up with the young mutant Abyss to open a dimensional portal. But here's the kicker. Instead of sucking demons in, this portal spits things out, including random objects, and finally, the notorious shapeshifter Mystique. Just when you thought the saga couldn't get any wilder, a major X-Men villain with rather obvious and shocking ties to both sides just crashed the party. And you know what that means. Trouble.
Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 2, number 58. Okay, true believers, let's unleash some awesome. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 58, the Happy Birthday arc takes a rather serious turn. We've got Reed Richards, super genius, right? Well, somebody's pulled the wool over his eyes again, leading him to create a device that punches holes into other dimensions. And who comes traipsing through that interdimensional doorway? The one, the only, Dormammu, Lord of the Dark Dimension. This is a cosmic level escalation, folks, and not your standard bank robber. And how much would you pay for this incredible offer? Well, don't answer yet. There's more. Along with Dormammu, we get a whole horde of the Mindless Ones, pure chaos in monstrous form. Our heroes, Cyclops, Thor, Iron Man, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and the ever-loving Thing are immediately thrown into a desperate struggle to contain this mystical invasion of Earth. Now, Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, being the mystical powerhouse he is, recognizes the sheer danger that Dormammu represents. He's ready to make the ultimate sacrifice, preparing a spell that will banish Dormammu back into his dark realm, even if it means his own annihilation. Talk about high stakes. But wouldn't you know it, in true Spider-Man fashion, Peter Parker's luck takes a nosedive. Amidst the magical blasts in the fight against the Mindless Ones, Spidey gets stuck smack dab in the middle of Doctor Strange's world-saving and self-ending spell. This is a huge turning point, folks, because it throws a major wrench into Strange's plan and has immediate, unforeseen consequences. While Doctor Strange, with his incredible magical powers, does manage to force Dormammu and his mindless minions back into the dark dimension, a win for the good guys, right? Not so much. The residual effects of the powerful spell on Spider-Man and the other heroes are bizarre. They start experiencing temporal anomalies, flickering in and out of different time periods and alternate realities. The issue closes with a seriously concerning note, hinting at the potential ramifications of their temporal displacement. We may even be able to affect what happens when the quantum possibilities collapse. This isn't just a normal quick trip through time. It suggests that they might be able to alter the very course of events. This sets the stage for a potentially reality-altering conclusion to the Happy Birthday arc, raising the stakes to an insane level. Captain America, Volume 4, Issue 18. So, Cap just yeeted himself out of a 102-story building to ditch the Red Skull. Classic Cap, am I right? And if you're a fan, you know this dude loves a good window exit. But here's where it gets wild. I'm really giving the side eye to this whole first page and that double splash page. Seriously? A 67-story Deus Ex Machina drop just to get Cap to the top of the Baxter roof? And get this, the door's unlocked. He bumps into what looks like depowered Reed and Sue Richard robots, and they're like, freight elevator, now, SS troops coming. And wouldn't you know it, he magically snags a ride on a truck headed that way. Sneaky, but not sneaky enough. The Iron Men are already on his tail. He does the whole bouncy, spinny, jumpy thing to escape, but they chase him into the subway tunnels. More Iron Men. He manages to lose them down smaller tunnels, and when he emerges, who does he meet? Benjamin Grimm. The thing rips off Captain's tracker, but it's too late. More Iron Men show up. A few panels, some classic catchphrases, and boom! A big explosion. Then we cut to the Red Skull chilling at Das Hausstock, checking out Victor Von Doom's time machine proof of concept. Baron von Strucker even makes a cameo. And the Skull? He goes on a full-page rant about controlling time and space. This is getting pretty good. Exiles, Volume 1, Issue 34. So Mariko and TJ get blinked back to the Legacy planet, and wouldn't you guess it, they're almost instantly swarmed with Velox. I mean, talk about a rough welcome back. Now, Sunfire manages to get them out of there with her flight powers, but she's still feeling the effects of the vampire infection from the last reality, so she clashes pretty quickly. And next thing you know, she's waking up in the Avengers compound in Las Vegas, and who's there? Mary Jane Watson. But not just any MJ, it's Spider-Woman MJ. Fast forward 9 days, and Dr. McCoy's breaking the news that they may be stuck on this planet for a while. Meanwhile, MJ and Mariko are making the most of it, and it's getting super close. 12 days later, they're basically Avengers regulars out on patrol, taking down Velox left and right, just to have them inoculated. Now, while this is going on, TJ notices how tight Mariko and MJ are getting, and then 2 days later, she has the talk with Mariko. She's warning her about being too attached. I mean, it's going to hurt way more if they inevitably have to leave, but Mariko, she's not having any of it. 4 days later, MJ takes Mariko on a date at a movie theater that, oddly enough, Doc Ock, of all people, fixed up. During the date, MJ brings up the same thing, we're going to leave. But Mariko shuts it down. She explains that her time on Earth 8545 has been the happiest she has ever been, ever, and she doesn't care how long it lasts. She's going to live every moment to the fullest until it's over. And then almost 2 weeks later, when MJ is drawing a bath, Mariko and TJ blink out into the next reality, leaving MJ behind on Earth 8545. Fantastic Four, Volume 3, Issue 75. All right, so things have escalated quickly. The Fantastic Four jumping into Latveria has caused an international crisis. Hungary's ruler is furious in meeting with the UN Secretary General because the Fantastic Four stopped his annexation plans. But in comes Nick Fury, calls out Hungary and saying, you're not the only one with claims to Latveria. There's Serbia, there's Simcaria, so just chill out. And argues that the Fantastic Four are the only ones preventing total chaos there. Still, the UN's warning is quite clear. The Fantastic Four has broken international law, and there will be repercussions. Meanwhile, in Latveria, the protests against the Fantastic Four's occupation continue, and it's seriously getting on Reed's nerves. He's decided he's got to fix this problem. Next morning, get this, the others wake up with weird devices on their heads. Reed's totally vague about it at breakfast. Sue worries about Reed's strange behavior since the takeover, but Johnny just blows it off. Reed takes them to the village, and bam, locals confront them, asking about Doom. Suddenly, the Fantastic Four realize those devices worked. They understand Latverian. How wild! Reed leads them to a hidden shack with no doors or windows. Johnny melts the wall, revealing Doom's guillotine and crematorium for all of the dissidents in his country. Reed has Sue make it invisible so the crowd can see the truth of Doom's atrocities. He promises the Fantastic Four will end such horrors, but even after they smash the building, the people are still terrified. Not of Doom, But at the Fantastic Four, frustrated, Reed reaches out to a local, Ben stops him, and Sue calls an emergency family meeting. So back at Doom's castle for the meeting, Sue explains that she just wants to go home. And while they're trying to explain that Doom has brainwashed the locals, Reed leads them into the castle's lower levels past all the traps. They hit a massive metal door. Red stops them, explaining one critical reason why they can't leave. He opens it, revealing a huge, secret nuclear weapons cache. Seriously? Reed lays it out. He's sick of Doom always coming back, risking lives, and just messing with everybody. This time, he'll disarm everything so Victor has nothing. He argues only that the Fantastic Four can safely handle this arsenal, not the UN, not a new ruler. After his intense explanation, Reed holds out his hand. And you know what? Despite everything, the others join him in solidarity. All this is wild. The Incredible Hulk, Volume 2, Issue 61. We kick off with a seriously tense video call. Homebase Honcho is chewing out Supervisor 4 and 5 for not nabbing Banner yet. How mad is he? He dissolves Supervisor 4 into a puddle of bloody goo with organic acid in his water. Yikes. Now that he's got number 5's undivided attention, he spills the intel. Mr. Blue's at Nadia Dornova's diner, and Banner's in New York City. Time to unleash the Krill. Not the shrimp people. S5 is hesitant, saying that Krill project is still in early testing and has a light sensitivity issue. But the leader's like, nighttime deployment, problem solved. Cut to Bruce Banner chilling in a sauna with the mysterious agent from the anti-home base crew. The agent says that they're keeping Bruce Banner hidden until they can get him to New York City and linked up with Mr. Blue. Now, switch to Nadia's bathroom in New Mexico. Now, while Nadia is waiting for Mr. Blue to finish showering, she stumbles across a small projector. It turns out it's a video showing Mr. Blue getting plastic surgery to change his face and infiltrate home base. What an odd thing to carry with you. When he comes out, he reminds Nadia that home base is after both of them. But hey, they have until nightfall. Back in New York City, Banner's cruising in a taxi, and the unknown agent calls him, saying everything's going according to plan, and suddenly the sauna door slams shut, and the temperature skyrockets, boiling the agent alive. Double cross alert. Meanwhile, at his secret lab, Doc Sampson's using Sandra Verduga's DNA to track down their son Rick Myers. His tech pinpoints the kid near Carlsbad. With his lab compromised, Sampson and Verduga bail, setting the place to go boom. As they drive off, debating their next move, Banner's laptop starts flashing. It's a short message telling them to head to Nadia's. They weigh their options and decide to change course. When Bruce finally arrives in New Mexico, local contacts whisk him away to a rental car. Back at Nadia's, the two women are arming themselves for the inevitable home base arrival. Mr. Blue reveals that he's a mole inside home base, working to keep Bruce safe. Back at Nadia's shed, Nadia's got Mr. Blue at gunpoint. She reveals she knows who he really is, but the question is, does Bruce Banner know? Mr. Blue insists Banner's in the dark, and suddenly he feels something scuttle past his foot. Ugh. The woman hears a rustling in the tall grass and makes a run for the house, whose lights are now out and whose windows are filled with the glowing red eyes. The heck is going on? This is getting seriously intense. X-treme X-Men, issue 31. Okay, the fear and the hatred of mutants is hitting a critical mass around the world in X-treme X-Men 31. We're seeing the grim reality unfold through scattered violent incidents. There's a tragic car crash linked to reckless mutants, and aid workers are murdered only for the killers to be taken out by a vengeful Genosian survivor. It's pure chaos, really, showing the widening chasm between humans and mutants. This pushes the X-treme X-Men team to set up and take on a more global mission. We find Storm and Gambit undercover at a meeting of the world leaders, listening to some seriously disturbing discussions about the mutant problem. It's clear things are escalating. Meanwhile, Bishop is on the ground in Los Angeles dealing with the harsh truth of the streets. He witnesses the tragic death of a young mutant linked to a new drug called Rave. It's another stark reminder that the dangers aren't just external. Bishop then connects with Sage, and then unexpectedly they find Rogue, who's trying to live a quiet life under the alias of Anna, working at a garage. But predictably, this piece doesn't last. The three of them attend a concert and uncover a terrifying plot, a bomb that specifically targets mutants. So much for a quiet night out. The issue masterfully sets the stage for a massive new arc. It vividly portrays a global-scale anti-mutant hatred and strongly hints at the potential for repercussions from the Genoshan genocide. New Mutants, Volume 2, Issue 5. We kick things off in the Big Apple with a seriously sinister Donald Pierce and his Reavers laying out their messed up plan. They're going to snatch mutant families to lure mutants themselves out into the open. Keep an eye on two of these Reavers, Josh and Duncan. They're going to be important later. Meanwhile, in a New York City hotel, Walter Barrett is being super insistent about moving. Why? Because he wants to avoid running into his daughter, Sophia, aka Mutant Wind Dancer. Awkward family vibes already. Over at Xavier's Institute, Professor X is making moves, offering Karma a teaching gig. Smart move, Professor. We also see David, aka Prodigy, not getting his butt kicked in a self-defense class taught by Wolverine. That's because his power is to telepathically absorb the knowledge and skills of other people when he's near them. After class, David gets invited to lunch with Sophia, Laurie, and Kevin. Then Xian and Danny join the party. Danny discusses recruiting a new student in New York, and the New Mutants join in because, how could that possibly go wrong? But things are about to go really weird for the next 5 or so panels. Cut to a scene of Sophia, David, Kevin, and Laurie, the 4 X-teens, ending up in the same hotel Sophia's dad was just snatched from. Convenient, right? They get a note saying that Sophia's dad is totally chill with them, meeting up with him in the hotel parking garage. Because the red flags, they are a-waving people. It's obviously a trap. And surprise, surprise, when the X-teens reach the garage, they realize they walked right into an ambush set by the Reavers. Sophia unleashes her wind powers, taking down 2 Reavers, and as you guessed it, Josh and Duncan, injuring Duncan in the process. Now the 4 students are on a rescue mission to save Walter and Derek. Meanwhile, back at the Reaver camp, Josh accidentally heals Duncan, who does not react well. But let's be honest, Josh handles it less well. And as Josh tries to bail, he runs smack dab into Donald Pierce. And then, bam! Laurie gets stabbed from behind by Pierce. End of issue. Cliffhanger City. Things just got dark. Ultimate 6, Issue 2. All right, things are about to go from bad to absolutely bonkers in this Ultimate Prison Break. So, Norman Osborn? Not having a good day. He just found out that he's lost everything on the outside. No mansion, no money, no shred of that oh-so-important Osborn reputation. Dude totally snaps and is about to go full Green Goblin meltdown when bam, Hank Pym hulks out. Or would that be Giant Man's out? And stops Osborn from causing immediate chaos. Crisis averted. For now. Meanwhile, Otto Octavius, the armless wonder, is playing a different game. He tells the shield guards that he wants to benevolently share his brain with them. They escort him to a lab, and wouldn't you know it, they've got his old tentacle arms on display. Otto has a revelation. He might be a mutant. He figures out that the Oz explosion didn't just mess with Norman, it might have juiced up his latent abilities as well, giving him the power to control metal arms with his mind. And wouldn't you know it, he's right. In a shocking and brutal turn, Otto mentally commands his arms to impale the guards. And not just his guards, but poor Hank Pym gets caught in the crossfire too. Talk about a demonstration of power. Meanwhile, chaos erupts. The prison's power grid goes down, plunging everything in the darkness. It's escape time. Osborn, Electro, Sandman, and presumably Kraven all transform into the supervillain personas, give Otto a quick thanks for the Shankfest, and make a break for it. But the real kicker is, as they're making their getaway, Norman Osborn drops a bombshell. The 6th member of the Sinister Squad? None other than Peter Parker. What? How did that happen? What's Osborn got planned for Spider-Man? This prison break just got a whole lot more personal and a whole lot more dangerous. The Ultimates are in for a world of hate. NYX, Volume 1, Issue 1. We're introduced to Kid Nixon's world, starting with her family, her mom, twin little brothers, and older brother Ty. Young Kidden, around the age of 4, witnessed her father's death as he shielded her body from a barrage of bullets. Dark origin story, right? Fast forward to teenage Kidden, spending her school nights out with her friend Kara, hitting the dance scene and getting fried. Her mom's still single, doing her best to raise all 4 kids on her own, and Kidden's not above swiping cigarettes from her mom or boosting them from the local store. Kidden's living in an inner-city neighborhood full of gangsters and drug dealers. She manages to get on the bad side of a local gangster at the school named Hector. He throws a handball that hits her while she's chilling with Kara before class. He slaps her. She tears out his golden earring. He's sent to the nurse's office, but she goes to the guidance counselor. Later that day, Kara warns Kidden that the gang is out for revenge as soon as the bell rings. Kidden and Kara get cornered in the hall after class. Kara gets a serious beatdown from the gangster's sisters, while Hector goes after Kidden. And that's when things get really crazy, because Kidden is overcome with a berserker's rage, and her mutant power finally shows itself. Suddenly, she's the only one moving. Everyone else, including her friend and the teachers, are frozen, like as in time. She even tries talking to Kara, but no response. Then she touches the gangster's arm and snaps like a twig. Reality snaps back into focus and the guy screams. Kidden is left standing there totally clueless about what just happened. Talk about a power surge. Ultimate X-Men, issue 37. All right, let's dive into this chaotic 4-part team-up with Wolverine, Spider-Man, and the Daredevil, because things are about to get seriously sharp and webby. Hey, I'm trying here. And this one's going to require a little background, so here goes. So picture this, Wolverine just trying to grab a little bite in the Brooklyn diner when bam, he's caught up in a hail of bullets. Classic Wolverine luck, right? Now, Logan needs a place to lay low and heal, and one of the spots that pops into his head? The Parker residence. Yeah, Spider-Man's humble abode. Can you imagine Peter and Mary Jane's surprise when they find a grumpy old mutant with claws chilling in their attic? Talk about unexpected house guests. It takes a couple of days for Wolverine to patch himself up, but just as he's about to peace out, guess who shows up? The same shady vans that filled him with lead in the first place. They're back for round 2. In diaper vans. Logan tries to make a quick getaway, but things go from bad to worse when a rocket locks onto him. Talk about overkill. And at the last second, Wolverine pulls a classic Wolverine move, claws himself onto the missile, and yeets himself off the back before it explodes, leaving him stranded in the gritty streets of Hell's Kitchen. Spider-Man, ever the hero, swings towards the explosion looking for his clawed buddy, but Wolverine, playing it stealthy, ditches the web-slinger to lick his wounds in the shadows. And just as Logan's catching his breath, bam, he's confronted by the man without fear himself, Daredevil. Matt Murdock's senses are on point, and even though Wolverine smells like a wet dog, come on, Logan's having a rough night, okay? Daredevil figures out he's not the one causing the trouble in his neighborhood. Before he can force a proper chat, those creepy diaper vans roll up again. These guys are persistent, and Daredevil vanishes before Wolverine can even ask for backup, leaving Logan to face the armored threat solo. Then things escalate big time. A woman named Tara steps out, rocking what looks like kind of like Hellfire Club armor, and fires not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 adamantium bullets into Wolverine's head. Ow! But before she can deliver the final blow, Daredevil swoops back in, ready to defend his turf. Wolverine's down but not out as Daredevil tries to hold off the intruders, but Tara and her crew are locked and loaded. Just when things look dire, bam! Spider-Man swings back into the fray, ready to be the hero again. An angry Daredevil yells at Spidey, telling him he's putting himself in danger. And as the bad guys open fire, Spider-Man webs Wolverine, yanks him to safety. Daredevil warns Spidey that the van's about to blow. While they catch their breaths, Daredevil fills Wolverine and Tara's next move. Wolverine, never one to back down, charges onto the rooftop to confront Tara and demand some answers. But Tara's not talking. Makes a quick escape as the helicopter opens fire on our heroes. And Wolverine's left with Spider-Man as Daredevil tends to the wounded. As Logan explains this messed up situation to the web-slinger, Spidey comes clean. He went ahead and called the X-Men in for backup. Talk about escalating quickly. This unlikely team-up just got a whole lot more mutant-y. And this isn't the end of the story. This is issue number 37, which is part 4. But if you look at issue number 38, it is also part 4. Avengers, Volume 2, 3rd Series, number 71. Alright, true believers, let's break down Avengers number 71. Truly a filler issue. The spotlight is on Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym, and finally taking their first ever vacation out in Las Vegas. Things open up with Janet and Hank having powered relations. In a completely different scene, in another hotel room, the villain Whirlwind is shown violently beating a prostitute he's dressed up as the Wasp. Following the assault, he throws her out the window to her death. Oh, jeez. Later, while walking in the city, Hank proposes marriage to Jan. She refuses, and they engage in yet another conversation about their complex and troubled relationship history. This is when Whirlwind attacks. Thank God. He quickly incapacitates Hank and starts to have his way with Janet. A now giant-sized naked Hank recovers and attacks the Whirlwind. The fight concludes when an angry Wasp takes down and knocks out the villain. The issue ends with Janet and Hank kissing. Boring. Captain Marvel, Volume 4, Issue 15. Okay, so some quick backstory. Captain Marvel, Genis, is the cosmic kid of the OG Captain Marvel and Elysius from Titan. Basically, they used dead Captain Marvel's DNA to make him. Elysius is gone now. Genis gets some very serious psychic powers, but guess what? He can't handle them. Universe goes boom, gets remade, but hey, this time Mom's still alive. Now Genis's new hobby is messing around with space rifts and causing a time freak out. This episode kicks off with the Galactic Council having a major "what do we do about Marvel?" meeting, mostly just a bunch of space races arguing. Then, bam, Marvel pops up on screen like, "I'm gonna kill you all," and poof, he's gone again. Cue every race scrambling their fleets and still bickering because, space politics. Quick detour to the multiverse and things get dark. Marvel's been slowly mind-controlling Rick Jones and straight up orders him to jump off a balcony. Oof. Back to Lilandra, who is not thrilled about having a team-up with the Kree and the Skrull. Awkward alliances, Then Captain Marvel's back to clowning the Council some more. They fire everything they've got at him, and guess what? Nothing. Marvel then drops a bombshell. In the future, these guys are going to form a super alliance that conquers the galaxy in a bloody mess and becomes totally corrupt. The Golgotha. Genis has decided he's got to wipe out the entire council just to stop that from ever happening. He gives them 1 week. And just when things couldn't get any crazier, a Titan ship shows up. And who's on it? Elysius, Genis's mom. She's there to put an end to this madness. Cosmic family drama, anybody? Venom 2003 Mini, Issue 6. All right, so the mysterious suit is dragging an unconscious Patricia Robertson through Alaska. She wakes up furious, demanding answers, and he tells her they're 70 miles out, tracking a symbiote, and they gotta move. She tries to call for help, but he's not letting that happen. He knocks her out again and keeps going, leaving a trail of gruesome cocooned animals behind. In the woods, the suit finds dead animals encased in symbiote goo. He makes a call saying the symbiote's heading for Voici before dawn. Meanwhile, in Voici, Clem shows up for poker night at Ori's. Oblivious to the nearby infected Raven, Ori's acting super weird and reveals his friends are all dead and consumed by the black goo, then transforms into a monster. Clem gets caught infected and declares it's a beautiful evening to paint the town red as he heads for Voici. At Bob's bar in Voici, Wolverine is just chilling. 2 identical women in purple bodysuits show up asking about the town. Logan, being Logan, immediately knows that they're not from around here. Who does he think he is? Layla Miller? And with that symbiote closing in and Wolverine in the mix, things are about to get real wild. Avengers Volume 2, 3rd Series, number 72. All right, buckle up, my detailed detectives, because after the wild ride of the Red Zone, where She-Hulk hulked out after being infected by the Red Cloud and was taken down, well, Avengers 72 throws us into a brand new mystery. She-Hulk's gone AWOL. Jennifer Walters has vanished from the compound, and it's not a casual Tuesday afternoon stroll. She's on a personal mission fueled by the mistaken belief that her cousin, good old Bruce Banner, is hanging out in Bone, Idaho. Little does Jennifer know that Bruce is in the Big Apple, just wrapping up a rumble with Crusher Creel and stepping into his own split decisions drama. Talk about cosmic misunderstanding. So, the Avengers, naturally worried about their green-skinned powerhouse and the potential for another Savage She-Hulk incident, play detective and track Jen all the way down to a diner in Bone, Idaho. Their plan? Tread lightly and send in the Master of the Mystic Arts. Wrong team. They send in the Master of Mind Manipulation. Well, no. Well, they send in Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, hoping a little heart-to-heart can clear things up. But, Wanda's good intentions go a little sideways. Her attempt to talk to Jennifer ends up feeling a bit forceful, shall we say? Next thing you know, Jennifer's not going anywhere, and that's when the real kicker drops. Jennifer isn't just bummed about being the Savage She-Hulk. She's genuinely terrified of hurting her friends if she loses control again. Here's the tragic twist. Unlike her cousin Bruce, whose transformations are fueled mostly by anger, Jennifer's She-Hulk trigger is fear. And guess what Jennifer Walters hates most? Being afraid. So the Avengers attempt to help, spearheaded by Wanda's slightly heavy-handed approach, might have just put Jennifer in the exact emotional state that could bring about the very thing they tried to prevent. The search has found her, but have they inadvertently lit the fuse? Litten? That's not a good word. Talk about a tense reunion. The Ultimates, Issue 12. All right, buckle up, true believers, because this is about to get ultimately chaotic. So picture this. Thor and Iron Man are tearing up the skies above Phoenix, blasting every alien craft they can lock onto. It's a full-on aerial demolition derby. Down below, Herr Kleiser gets the go-ahead for his comms guy to throw down with Captain America. Cap, ever the dramatic entrance maker, literally dives a jet straight into Kleiser, bailing out at the last second like a total boss before the whole thing explodes in a massive fireball. But no time for cool poses. Kleiser immediately pounces on Cap, and they start trading blows. Cap gets the early advantage, slicing Kleiser's face with his own shield. Kleiser retaliates with a flurry of punches, finally breaking free. Then Kleiser starts his villain monologue, which, let's be honest, is just annoying Cap. Cap loses his focus, just trying to land a solid hit. But mistake, because Kleiser gains the upper hand again, smashing Cap's head into the ground. Not good. Meanwhile, Hawkeye's doing his part, taking out the Chitauri soldiers from a Humvee, but suddenly, bam, his ride gets wrecked by a falling alien aircraft. Hawkeye's understandably ticked, yelling at Iron Man about the alien debris raining down, but Tony's like, dude, that's all Thor. Apparently, the God of Thunder is just swinging Mjolnir like a cosmic baseball bat, taking out everything in sight, friend or foe. Thor tells Iron Man to get low so that he can blast the whole squadron of alien ships at once. Boom! Down they go. Cut to Nick Fury watching Kleiser absolutely pummel Captain America with debris. Fury's not about to let his star-spangled soldier get taken down like that. He calls a shield invisibility sequence. And as Kleiser's laying the smackdown, Fury shoves his gun right next to Kleiser's eyeball, and boom! Down goes the bad guy. Or so they think. Kleiser gets right back up, sporting a massive hole in his head. This just heals. Then he turns his attention to Fury, laying a beatdown on the eye patch-wearing director. Speaking of big problems, a gigantic alien ship is plummeting towards Phoenix. I mean, we're talking total extinction-level event-sized ship. But wait, Iron Man swoops in at the last second, flying under the massive ship, bringing it down in a controlled crash. Heroic! But Tony's power armor is completely drained, and his confidence is shattered. So as the U.S. Army soldiers help him out, Tony's having a full-on, I can't be Iron Man anymore, meltdown. And the soldier's simple question, well, if you can't, who will? Snaps Tony right back into reality like he can actually smell what the Rock is cooking. He spots a nearby streetlight, siphons some power to recharge, and then flies right back into the action. So he recharged the Iron Man armor off a 120-volt source. That's our Tony. Deep underground, Wasp and the Black Widow are on a stealth mission, taking out the Chitauri and trying to figure out how to stop the Doomsday Bomb. But there's a slight problem. The instructions are in alien hieroglyphs. Not exactly user-friendly. But back on the surface, Kleiser got Fury in a chokehold. He throws Fury aside and refocuses on Cap, telling him to just give up. But telling Captain America to surrender? That's like waving a red flag in front of a bull, which, come to think of it, is a really bad analogy as bulls are colorblind. Anyway, enraged, Captain America headbutts Kleiser and then smashes him in the face while grabbing his shield. He leans down on top of Kleiser, screaming, "Surrender!" And he stabs his shield right down into Kleiser's chest. Then, in a moment of pure Cap badassery, go ahead and read the quote, seriously. He pulls out his shield and walks away with a battered but not broken Nick Fury. Fury, never one to miss an opportunity, contacts a soldier in a helicopter with Bruce Banner aboard. Time for Plan A to become Plan B. The soldier starts wailing on Banner, hoping to trigger the Hulk transformation. But Banner's like, "Dude, I have got so much antidote in my system, I couldn't become the Hulk if you paid me $1 million. So Fury's got no time for this. Nothing. He orders the soldier to execute Plan C, tossing Banner out the helicopter. Talk about a rough landing. Will the Hulk show up? Will our heroes stop the alien invasion? This is the Ultimates, baby. Expect the unexpected. And there you have it, lore keepers, the complete monumental journey through these selected issues of the Ordered Omnibus November series. We've navigated timelines, witnessed epic battles, and pieced together continuity, bringing you this past month's curated stories in one accessible volume. Because next time we're bringing you even more mind-bending lineup. Fantastic Four number 504, Dr. Octopus Negative Exposure number 1, Thanos, and the Ultimate Spider-Man number 47. You absolutely won't want to miss it.